Hold the fort. Hold the motherfucking forts. I'm telling you, bitch. I need Avengers, assemble. Assemble. Hold the fort. That little piss poor apology video he just dropped, not cutting it. Matter of fact, I'm about to record a YouTube video so I can get him up off of there too, because what we're not gonna do, that man is playing in your face. And for that reason alone, an example must be made out of him. It must be. You're apologetic, but the video is still up, sitting at 2.4 million views of you in blackface? No. Black folk, we are one of the largest creators and consumers of entertainment in the US. Your attention is profitable. Your attention makes or breaks careers. And at any moment's notice, should you give enough of a fuck, should you choose, you should be able to pull that rug, pull that attention, pull that visibility from under the foot of non-black folk who are willing to make a mockery of your pain and your trauma and your struggle. And he needs to feel that. People need to see in real time that there are consequences. There are grave, grave consequences to people who rage bait and farm engagement off of racial discrimination, racial insensitivity. Should we give enough of a fuck, there can be consequences. And so I'm asking you to give a fuck. Continue to unfollow, continue to block, continue to share that video, and we'll check in 24 hours.
Arrest me! Arrest me! Let's go!
I am saying this as a massive, massive Lady Gaga fan. Where is this bravery now? Where is this bravery now? If you're going to position yourself as a quasi-revolutionary, how are you going to perform at the Biden inauguration and then not say anything about a free Palestine? Gaga, I love you so, so much because I think you stand up for the things that matter in this world. Why aren't you doing it anymore? Why aren't you doing it anymore, Gaga?
Yeah, the first and only time I watched Game of Thrones, I thought the outfits for the Capitol were an exaggeration. But it's pretty much spot on what celebrities wear to these big, pointless, waste of money events. What's a gala? Genuinely, what the fuck is a gala, and why the hell do they care so much, and why do they have it as like a fancy costume party that's so expensive? Like, what the fuck is it? Why do they care so much? And why should we fucking care? When a ticket to that could have saved an entire family. And that's just the escape, right? How many freaking celebrities went to this stupid gala thing? So how much was spent not just on the tickets, but the ridiculously stupid outfits? That one girl getting carried up the stairs and then they cut it later. Like, what the fuck? What is the point? What do you do there besides your freaking... What do you do there? What is the point? Besides the distraction, because everyone, smart people, are starting to click on and be like, hang on, all these major American events that for some reason they think the rest of the world is interested in. Let me tell you, we're not. We couldn't give a shit about your freaking Super Bowl or your Met Gala. They seem to think the rest of the world is like kissing ass with America and we just worship them and we want to be just like them. No. Anywho, yeah, all eyes on Rafah. Don't forget the Congo, because there was bombings there too. 5 bombs, I think, 3 or 4 days ago. So, check out Puppy Orion. He's got a lot of info. He shouts out a lot of other people that are also working with Focus Congo to show what's happening, where donations are needed, and how the donations are being used. Let's not forget about the Congo. We have space in our minds and our heart for both. I know it feels like a lot because there is a lot happening and a lot of injustice to Indigenous people around the whole entire world. in the last few years, it feels like there is a massive worldwide attack on indigenous people right now. Like, what the fuck? Why? I don't get it. If you just treat indigenous people like humans that we are, we're just trying to live peacefully. We're trying to keep our land healthy and thriving, because when our land thrives, she provides in abundance. I like it. Just how do we overthrow the governments? Sovereign states? Like, legit, I thought about this. How could we... Like, I watched something about a sovereign state a while ago. This dude built his own sovereign state. And to make it legit, he had to get a letter from the Queen. And somehow he got that. So his state was legit and up and running his whole... Like, the whole time he was alive, pretty much. Until his death, his son's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So... would anyone like to start a sovereign state with me? I'm in Adelaide area, so if any Australians want to make a sovereign state, you know, the white government came here, took the land, and decided to put their rules as the rules for everyone to follow. So what if just indigenous people did that back to them? They're always afraid of, oh, you know, if we give them their freedom, they're going to do the same thing to us. Why don't we? Why don't we fucking do that? Just for a little bit, so they can understand the suffering of having their babies stolen at birth, of having their homes bombed, of being mistreated and being called human animals. Let's just fucking do it. Let's just overthrow the bloody governments worldwide.
Let's redesign some countries' flags. So let's start with Israel's flag. I don't know, I feel like it needs a bit of work. Little fact about Israel, do you know that so far they've killed over 30,000 Palestinian people? Israel are committing what many would call a genocide right now. You know, when I was in school and learning about the Nazis, I'd just sit and watch in horror thinking, how could anyone let something like that happen? I assumed in a world like now, with the internet and everything, propaganda would be harder to believe. There are countless families trying to flee Gaza right now in fear for their own lives, all because of Israel's indiscriminate killing of Palestinian citizens. I've left a link in my bio with the master list of Operation Olive Branch. It's essentially a spreadsheet with a huge collection of families who are trying to raise money to leave Gaza or for help. I know it's a difficult time financially for a lot of people, so I completely get if people can't help financially, but do me a favor and share this video, share the link. If you are able to, please, I urge you, send some money over to some families. How many more innocent lives are going to have to be lost before people actually start giving a shit? I know a concerning amount of creators who have chosen not to say anything purely to not risk any controversy. And all I have to say is, if you consider your own following more important than the lives of thousands and thousands of innocent people in Gaza, give your head a little wobble.
Okay, here's the dummy's guide for a couple of things going on around the world. Half of Sudan, which is 25 million people, don't have food, water, fuel, or medicine. Out of the 25 million, 14 million of that is children. They are also experiencing the largest displacement in the entire world, with 8 million of those people seeking refuge and not having shelter. You can donate here. Congo is facing one of the longest humanitarian crises in history, with armed forces attacking and killing thousands of innocent civilians, causing families to try to flee, seek shelter in schools, churches, or even camps. Haiti is experiencing deadly gang violence, including lynchings, stonings, mutilation, and people being burned alive. The corruption of the government has basically made law non-existent. Over 5 million Haitians need help. Here's the link that you can donate to each country, and the money that I make from this video, I will match it, split it 3 ways, and donate it to each of those as well. No humanitarian crisis is more important than any other. They all deserve help, they all deserve aid, and they all deserve attention. Anything that you could give, even if it's a $2, is helpful. And even if you can't give aid in a monetary sense, please, this is not your fault. Don't feel guilty. Knowledge is power, and you even knowing a little bit is helping.
Celebrities do not love you! You're nothing to them but a paycheck! Where's your fucking rate?
Here's every ceasefire deal and prisoner exchange that Hamas has offered Israel since October 7th. October 9th, Hamas offers Israel an unspecified number of women and children being held hostage in Gaza in exchange for 36 Palestinian women and children being held hostage in Israeli prisons. October 16th, a Hamas official says they'd free all Israeli captives in Gaza in exchange for 6,000 Palestinian captives in Israel. October 17th, a Hamas official tells NBC News that they'd release all of their Israeli civilian captives if Israel agreed to stop bombing Gaza. October 28th, Hamas's leader in Gaza offers to release all of the Israeli captives in Gaza in exchange for all of the Palestinian captives in Israeli prisons. This proposal, more commonly known as All for All, was a demand widely adopted by Israelis protesting against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. November 17th, Qatari negotiators proposed a deal where Hamas will release 50 Israeli captives in exchange for a 3-day ceasefire. Hamas agrees to the general outline of the deal. Israel refuses. January 2nd, Hamas proposed a 3-phase deal where Hamas releases 40 Israeli captives in exchange for a gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza and the release of Palestinian captives. In the last phase, Israel would end the war and Hamas would release all of its Israeli captives. Israel rejected this offer. January 18th, members of the Israeli government make a proposal to Benjamin Netanyahu to reopen negotiations with Hamas. He refuses. January 22nd, Israel rejects a deal where Hamas would release Israeli captives in exchange for the release of Palestinian captives, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, and accepting Hamas's leadership in Gaza. February 7th, Hamas proposes a 3-phased, 4.5-month ceasefire, where in the first phase, Hamas would release all women, children, ill, and young male Israeli captives in exchange for the release of Palestinian women and children being held captive in Israeli jails. In the second phase, adult male captives on both sides would be exchanged, and then in the third phase, remains of the dead and an end to the war. March 15th, Hamas offers to release Israeli women, children, elderly and sick captives being held in Gaza in exchange for 700 to 1,000 Palestinian captives in Israeli prisons. And most recently, yesterday, Hamas offered to participate in a proposed 3-stage deal where, in the first phase, Hamas would release Israeli female prisoners for 50 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons each. After 11 days of ceasefire, Israel would begin to dismantle its military structures in Gaza. In the second phase, there would be a halt to all military activity in Gaza. And then in the final phase, the war in Israel's blockade on Gaza would end, and the reconstruction process would begin. Israel rejected this deal. Now, you might be saying, well, what about all of Israel's proposals that Hamas turned down? But all of Israel's proposals so far have been for temporary ceasefires. In other words, they would stop the fighting long enough to allow Israel to get its people out and then decimate Gaza without having to worry about killing any Israeli hostages. This is fundamentally different from the ceasefire that Hamas and the vast majority of the world want, which is a permanent ceasefire that would end the war. Now Israel is trying to say that they have no choice but to invade Rafah because Hamas refuses to negotiate. But this is obviously a lie. If Israel really wanted its hostages back, it could have had them back 7 months ago. This was never about hostages. Israel's been relentlessly carpet bombing the very place their hostages are being held and have killed an untold number of them. Israel was actually very clear from day one what this genocidal slaughter was all about. They said they would wipe the Gaza Strip off the face of the earth. They said they would bomb it so badly that Gaza would be a place no human being could exist. This was never about hostages. Hostages were always just their excuse to justify the extermination of a people and destroy its ability to resist.
Yeah, the people they won't leave. What is threatening about divesting and want a piece? The problem isn't the protest, it's what they're protesting. It goes against what our country is funding.
longer above shopping at Shein. Shein from here on out. That's what we're doing. We're not spending a lot of money on.
No, like genuinely and seriously, what has happened to our morals? I have watched people do mental gymnastics to excuse their inability to actually stand for something. Shein, Temu, Amazon, like all of these fast fashion and like high consumption websites where you can just go on and buy things for pennies are awful. And people always try to justify it by saying, I'm poor, I'm broke, I can't save up for nice quality clothes. And even if I do, they're gonna come from the same factory. Let me tell you, as a fellow broke person, this take ain't it. I'm sorry, even if I have negative money in my bank account, I will never make the justification to pay for basically human slave labor. Like genuinely, a shirt will never be worth somebody's life to me. And that's basically what it comes down to. Like you are justifying slavery for a pair of pants, for a shirt, for a cute trendy top that you're gonna throw out in 2 months or it's gonna rip on you. And I know nobody wants to come to terms with that, but that's what it is. And there are 100% ways around it. Like there's no justification for fast fashion. People deserve to be paid fairly for their labor, especially when it comes to highly skilled trade like garment workers. And I know it sucks when you're poor to want to be trendy and want to fit in and want to feel cute, and you see that these trendy garments that are made ethically are insanely expensive, but that is the cost. Just like you wouldn't want to go to work and be paid 3 cents to do your job for every hour you're there, they don't want to either. And on top of that, not only are they not paid well, the conditions they're working in are absolutely horrific. And I'm sorry, there's no easy solution to this. There is no easy solution. And not only that, but fast fashion is one of the largest contributors to the climate crisis. And just those two things paired together should make you disgusted to even want to buy from these places. This just shows that capitalism is not working for us. A system that incentivizes slavery and the absolute disregard of human life for your simple self-pleasures. Genuinely, the only solution is moving away from capitalism and creating more of a bartering system where skilled labor can be traded for skilled labor or goods. Or we work on investing in pieces that are going to last lifetimes and actually are worth the amount that we'd have to pay for those garments. Because on the flip side, corporations are also screwing us. We should not be paying $150, $250 for a wool blend sweater, you know? But genuinely do not fall for this propaganda. It's like when people say they have boycott fatigue. You can't have consumer fatigue. Oh my God, I'm so tired of trying to shop ethically. Okay, I think the people in the sweatshops are tired of fucking working every day for no money. So it's our job as people living in privileged Western countries to stand on fucking business and help figure out these solutions. Because it's not just to say, oh well, and throw your hands up and start buying 40 tops for $200 or whatever, you know? And I'll tell you right here, right now, all of my clothes are thrifted or ethically made or made by myself. So it can be done, even as a poor person.